All right, tubers, good Sunday afternoon to you. Matt M. Roy back once again. Hope everybody is doing really, really well right now. If you look in the back, I was just watching Hoovy's Garage, one of the channels I love to watch. He amazes me. He buys these cars seemingly with an endless supply of funds and sinks tons of money into these vehicles and then really much loses his shirt on almost every one. So either he has a trust fund or he has a whole other business that's supplying his car addiction. Yep, that's the one with the car wizard. Actually, I think he just dropped off his Fiat 500 Abarth, and they're trying to get it fixed now. Apparently, there's not as many issues as he thought, but I can't imagine owning a modern day Chrysler like that. I listened to Scotty Kilmer. And even my 2010 Chrysler Town and Country is having some issues right now, primarily with sticking brake calipers. So I'm feeling the pain of a modern post Fiat buyout Chrysler vehicle because mine was right on the precipice. But that's not what this video is about. And no, I don't want anybody to think that I'm asking for money. I know that was kind of a clickbaity title. I felt kind of humorous when I put that out. So look, don't feel like I'm soliciting money. It's not what's happening here. Over the last few days, I have gotten my sweet tooth back. I have been eating a lot of food that I haven't eaten in the past. Things like these little stolen bites. They're these chocolate covered marzipan bites that I get from Aldi. And I actually had that 3 of those today. I had a piece of chocolate cake. And I just feel like that my sweet tooth is coming back. Now, the good news is I have not actually gained any weight back. I'm still right around 205, 204, somewhere around there. But I'm afraid I'm going to start gaining weight back. So I don't know who here follows my channel because of the fitness vlogs, but if anybody's here, I want to get a little dialogue going. I want you guys to let me know what you do to combat your sweet tooth, or even not even necessarily your sweet tooth, but your want to overeat at times, because I need some emotional support right now. Eric Brunhammer goes, I went through that with soda and tea for a couple of days. I'm starting clean this week. Well, that's good. And I realize that we have our bad days. We have our bad weeks sometimes. But I want to try to help everybody out here. And I think that you guys know me well enough that I'm not going to totally fall off the wagon. I'm not going to go back to where I was. I'm not going to go back to 350, 400 pounds. At this point, it's just not going to happen. But that being said, I want to get down to my 200-pound goal. I'm only 5 pounds away. I don't think it should take any more than about 3 weeks to a month. But it's going to be really hard if I keep packing on the pounds, even slowly. And the sweet tooth is really killing me right now. Croman says, Matt, my lad, you got friends and family that are active in your life. That is a good point. And I will tell you this, family and friends are key. They are instrumental in anybody's success when it comes to a lifestyle change, diet, whatever you guys want to call it. Because you need people that will hold you accountable. And I do that for my parents too. If I see mom eating too much and I know the scale is going up, then I'll hold her accountable, and she'll do the same to me. Like if she sees me going down the middle of the night, not that I do this anymore, but years ago, I used to go down in the middle of the night and I would binge eat. I would literally stand in front of the refrigerator and I would just eat anything I could out of the refrigerator until I was full. Then I would come upstairs, lay down, and go back to sleep. And a lot of times she would wake up and she'd say, hey, Matt, what are you doing down there? I'm like, oh, nothing. I'd be like, oh. And she'd be like, if you're eating, come upstairs. You got to stop it. And it really helped. I mean, believe me, that was something that I used to do quite often. WW Souls, drink a glass of water instead. That is a very, very good, that's a very good option. And I have done that many times. I've actually read that. I think it was on WebMD, where they said if you're worried about overeating in a meal, like if you're going to be going out to something like a buffet and you're worried about eating too much, what you do is you drink a full glass or two of water before you go. And what that does is that fills up your stomach to the point where you literally can't overeat. You'll get full quicker. Croman says, maybe at the end of the day, have a friend or family member ask what you ate or drank that day so you're less likely to give into it. Yep, that's a good idea. Very similar to what you would do at Weight Watchers, but instead of being a friend or a family, it would be your fellow members. And yeah, you know what? We might need to do that. And we kind of do that already because, believe it or not, as we go throughout the day, Mom and I give each other a running commentary on what we've eaten, but we don't go as far as to just write it down. We just kind of spitball. We say, oh, for breakfast I had this and this and this. For lunch I had this and this. For a snack I had this. And then for dinner I had this, this, and this. And I think that would be a good idea to actually write it down. Now, I would not be able to do that. My handwriting is absolutely atrocious. So I probably have to have Mom write it down, or I could always type it out. Eric goes, but that defeats the purpose of a buffet, LOL. Yeah. And that's why I want to say the last buffet I went to was when we were at my uncle's house a little over a month ago, and that was that Chinese buffet. I don't do them much at all anymore because they're just not worth it for me. I can go there and maybe eat a total of 2 plates, and financially it doesn't make sense because they're making out like bandits and I'm losing out. And on top of that, I don't like to pig out anymore. I mean, my stomach has shrank to the point where if I tried to eat the same amount that I used to in one sitting, I would physically get sick. I actually physically couldn't even do it. I couldn't force that much food down my gullet anymore. They'd probably send me to the hospital, to be honest with you. Eric goes, bet you my handwriting is worse, LOL. Okay, well, let me write something out here real quick, if I can find a pen that actually works, and I'll show you. I'll try to do the best I can. Of course, it would help if I do have a pen that works. Every time I try to write something, I tell you, I get pens that just don't want to write. Let's try this one. Okay. And then let me try it in cursive. Okay. So here's a sample of my handwriting. We'll use my YouTube name. We have, if you guys can see it, Matt M. Roy in print and Matt M. Roy in cursive. Believe it or not, I have a hard time writing print with upper and lowercase. I learned cursive at a very young age. So when I write print, I can only write in uppercase letters. I never really learned the lowercase ones. So if you guys are curious, that's a sample of my handwriting, albeit it's, of course, backwards. Croman says, just randomly found you while exploring YouTube, but you just checked some of your old videos, and good job so far, mate. Well, thank you, and I always appreciate the positive words. And there's a lot of negativity, unfortunately, on YouTube. And if you guys go back and some of my earlier vlogs, you'll find a lot of that. And of course, a lot of it had to do with my weight. They say, "Oh, you fat blank 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 and blank 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 blank." But you know what? I just don't let it get to me. And the reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there because they're afraid of the ridicule. You know, maybe you're overweight like I was, and, you know, you're afraid to put yourself out there because there are a lot of mean-spirited people out there that want to make fun of people that are overweight. Any type of handicap, any type of difference, people want to make fun of, and I shouldn't say that, because being overweight and obese in and of itself is not necessarily a handicap. It does put strain on your body. But you got to remember, just just don't be afraid to be yourself. And in many years past, I have been that way. I've been so afraid to get out there. I even struggle with this nowadays, even though I know I'm physically in good shape now. I look really good compared to what I used to look. I still have those doubts sometimes up here. So it's actually good to kind of talk this out every once in a while. Eric goes, did you ever notice that my first videos didn't show me or my face? Now that I think about it, I do, because I remember those early videos of yours when you were in the basement in your old apartment and you used to tinker around with the old stereo equipment, the old computers. That's actually how I found your channel. Um, I didn't mind those videos, honestly. I mean, those I actually found really interesting. I really like the ones where you would get something from a thrift store, bring it down there, hook it up on camera live, and just see if it worked. I used to do those in the past, and I really need to start doing that again because apparently a lot of you guys like those as well. WW Souls, there are a lot of mean-spirited people in the comments on YouTube. Why is that? Mainly because they don't have anything better to do, and they probably feel as bad about themselves as maybe some of us feel about ourselves. And the way they make themselves feel better is to put other people down. And you know what? You just can't let it get to you. I don't let it get to me anymore, and I'm a much happier person for it. Oh, Zach Smith has got a couple of questions here. Let me see. Do you still plan on working for Amazon? No. The reason I'm not going to be working for Amazon is I don't know if you guys know this, but when Amazon first started doing their delivery service, they would hire you as an independent contractor. You would work using your vehicle and you would deliver packages. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way anymore, at least not in my area. In my area, what has happened is private companies have bought up those spots that Amazon offered to the independent contractors. So now if I was to work for Amazon, I'd actually be working for another company and driving their vehicles, and I don't want to do that. And that was kind of defeating the whole purpose of why I wanted to work for Amazon in the first place, because I'd kind of be like my own boss. I could set my own hours. Now, unfortunately, I can't do that. Isn't that the reason you bought the PT Cruiser and the Buick? Yes. Well, the PT Cruiser specifically, because the PT Cruiser was going to be a great vehicle for packages because you could actually take the rear seats. If you've never owned a PT Cruiser, you can actually take the rear seats. They actually fold into a briefcase and come out. And you can shove a lot of stuff in the back of a PT Cruiser. But unfortunately, that PT Cruiser didn't work out because when I brought it to my mechanic, he found a lot of hidden rot underneath, and I wound up just having to sell it for parts. Basically, that was a total disaster. The Buick I bought, honestly, the Buick I bought because I wanted a second vehicle, and at the time it was a great deal. I think I gave something like $1,500 or $1,600 for that, and that vehicle was mint. That vehicle needed nothing, and I've driven that. I got that Buick. It's a 2000 Buick LeSabre. I got it with 138,000 miles, I think it was, and now it's got 144. So that's what, 1, 2, 3. I put 6,000 miles on that vehicle, and the only things I've done to that are oil changes and change the air filter, basically. Oh, and the battery. I had to buy a brand new battery for it when I first got it. That actually brings up an interesting topic I want to discuss with you. If we don't have a lot of people here for the fitness side of things, then I'll switch topics, as there is something I want to talk to you guys about. Eric goes, that is also how I found your channel. Yeah, I love those old videos. We're going to get back to that sometime. Because people are behind a keyboard and screen, and it would be people who would never say those things in person. Absolutely. It's trolls. That's all it is. Eric goes, I've put about 5K on my truck since July 31st, my last oil change. Okay, so it's probably about due. I know that the newer vehicles can go a lot longer, sometimes 10,000 miles without oil changes, but I still wouldn't like to go that far because at that point, the oil filter is almost totally filled with garbage and just sludge, and you're just really recycling that into your engine at that point. All right, so we got 8 watchers here and 4 likes. Wow, quite a few people here for a Sunday afternoon. Well, I got you guys gave me some great advice on maybe curbing the sweet tooth, and I've been thinking of a few different things as well. Even if you have a sweet tooth, believe it or not, you can um, do what you can satisfy that sweet tooth with healthy options. To give you an example, for breakfast and dinner lately, I've been eating that whole wheat farina cereal, and I sweeten it with either honey or 100% pure maple syrup. Now that satisfies my sweet tooth, and it does it in a healthy way because that is 100% pure, unprocessed sugar in that. Whereas if you have something like a Twinkie, a Ring Ding, a Zinger, any of these highly processed foods, you're getting more likely than not the high fructose corn syrup and at the very least the processed white sugar that is so bad for us, bad for every part of the body. As people say, it rots you from the inside out. I mean, it's gross, but it's kind of true. All right, so no more comments on that. I'm going to give you guys an update because it seems like everybody likes to talk about the vehicles. And I'm going to be doing another update on those in a future vlog. But for those of you that haven't seen my channel for a while, the 3 vehicles I currently have are the 96 Chevy Tahoe, the 2000 Buick LeSabre, and then the 2010 Chrysler Town and Country. Now, I've worked very hard to basically pay off the Chrysler Town and Country. So effectively now I own my vehicles outright. Nothing is financed, nothing has a lien on it or anything like that. For now, I am going to definitely be keeping the Buick LeSabre and the Chevy Tahoe. Well, I should say this. The Chevy Tahoe, I'm more likely than not going to keep until it falls apart. Like, I'm going to drive that thing, and when the tranny goes or the engine goes or something else major goes, I'll either fix it, or if I don't want to put that much money into it, I'll just scrap it. It was $1,000 vehicle. I've really already gotten my use out of that vehicle, so it's lived its useful life. So anything I get above this right now is gravy for that vehicle. Same thing with the Buick LeSabre, though. If I did find something else, maybe a little bit newer, I would consider selling that vehicle because that still has some value to it. For the year, it does have pretty low miles. I mean, it's a 2000, so it's almost 20 years old. It's only got 141 or 142,000 miles. So that's where I sit on those. Now here's the unknown variable, if you guys remember that from math class. The 2010 Chrysler Town and Country. I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping that or not. And I know I've talked a lot about this in the past, but I have a lot of people here that haven't watched my channel recently. So I wanted to give you guys an update. There are a couple of things that might happen with that. Number one, my dad really wants that vehicle, and he may be in a position to buy that from me if I decide to sell it. But he has to, it's not going to be right away. He has to actually sell another one of his vehicles and then buy that because it's an easier vehicle for him to get in and out of. Or I might just sell it outright. I might just list it for sale and, just sell it for cash and then maybe go and purchase something else. Or I might keep it. Again, I haven't made up my mind about this yet. I'd like to get some of your guys' input out there. I know quite a few out there are mechanics or much more mechanically inclined than I am. So I'd like some input here from you guys. Let me know what you think I should do. It's a 2010 Chrysler Town and Country minivan. It's got 116,000 miles on it now. It does need to have the brakes done. The front brakes are sticking, so I think it probably needs calipers, which I'm going to do anyway. But let me know what you think. Let me know if any of you guys out there have had any of those Town and Countries. Let me know what you think about the longevity of them. Mine has the 4-liter V6. It's the real big V6 they only had for a couple of years. WW Souls, your Buick should go on running for ages. I've seen a lot for sale with over 200,000 miles. I agree with that. I absolutely have. If you watch, what is it, BAH54, I think is his channel. He has a 2001 or 2 Buick LeSabre with 250,000 miles, and that's still going strong. Was it BAH 53 is what it is. BAH 53, if you guys ever want to watch his channel. Eric Brunhammer goes, that year of Chrysler products was like a limbo era when they were not as bad as they had been. I definitely agree with that, and that's what I've been hearing from a lot of people. It's kind of like right on the precipice of when they started getting really bad, but not quite there yet. Basically, Chrysler products took a nosedive after Fiat bought them, and that was like right in 2010. And actually, if we're going to talk semantics, my particular Chrysler Town Country was actually manufactured slightly after Fiat took possession of Chrysler. But that being said, it is still mostly a Chrysler vehicle. So that's why I'm kind of on the fence about it. And I do have a little bit of time because it's going to take a while for the title to come in, probably a couple of weeks. So I'm going to make up my mind one way or another, probably within the next month or so, and I'll keep you guys updated. It still wasn't a Fiat design, yeah, and I am very grateful for that. For those of you that are Fiat fans, I'm going to apologize right now for what I'm going to say, but Fiats are garbage. They were garbage back in the 60s, and they're garbage now. There are people out there that are big fans of them, especially like the old Fiat 500s. And yes, they could be fun. They were small little vehicles, very economical. Heck, I know people that turned them into glorified golf carts, but they were cheap and they broke down a lot. If you don't believe me, just research them out. Watch any one of these old car shows. Heck, you guys ever seen the British show Wheeler Dealers? Ed redid a Fiat, and it was actually very easy for him to do, but while he was doing it, he kept commenting about design issues with this. And I think the one they did was like 1964 Fiat 500, something like that. Eric goes, we are considering getting rid of her Captiva. It turns out KBB says it is worth like $7K. Wow. Believe it or not, that's about what my Chrysler Town & Country is worth. Private sale, not trade-in, of course. All computers, when I grow up, I will buy American cars. Good man, good man. And I have nothing against buying foreign vehicles. But that being said, if you are like me and you have people in your family that are mechanics that are used to working on American vehicles and have the tools to do so, then it behooves me, or benefits me at least, to buy American vehicles. And if you have a mechanic that's a foreign mechanic, then yeah, it'd probably benefit you to buy either a Japanese car or a German car or a Korean car. But for me, I've never owned a foreign vehicle. Every vehicle I have ever owned has either been a Chevy, a Ford, or a Chrysler. A Mopar, I should say. Fix it again, Tony. Fiat. Yeah. That's funny. And then Ford was found on road dead. And I don't know if there was one for Chevy. I'm sure there is, but I don't know it. Jonathan Grindle, going to look at a 2013 Mini Cooper Clubman for my first car today. I will say this for the Mini Coopers, and this is mainly going after what Scotty Kilmer says. Don't pay a lot for it, because those years especially, they had issues, tranny issues, I think specifically, and then just build quality issues, like the trim pieces would start to break after a while. 8,600 is the price. I would think on it. I don't want to put you off it. Don't get me wrong, but do a quick Google search for Scotty Kilmer's channel and search his channel for Mini Coopers and just listen to what he has to say, because I don't want you to do what I did and buy a vehicle that you regret. And if I had to be perfectly honest, I do at times regret buying the Chrysler Town and Country. The reason that I bought that at the time is because I didn't own the Tahoe, and I needed a vehicle that was big enough for me to bring home all those computer halls. And I really wasn't looking for a minivan specifically. I really, honestly, at the time wanted a full size either conversion van or like a club wagon. But at the time, that was the only thing that I found in my price range. And what I meant by price range is something that I could finance, because all the bigger vans, even though they were less money, they were older and I couldn't finance them. And at the time, I just didn't have the cash to be able to purchase them. WW Souls asks, do you miss your Lincoln Town car? It's a good question. I was actually thinking about it the other day. I did like the way that car drove. Yes. Do I think about it regularly? Not really. To be perfectly honest with you, it was a good vehicle, but for the fuel economy and the amount it could haul, it wasn't worth me keeping. Believe it or not, the Tahoe, my Chevy Tahoe, is only slightly worse than the Lincoln Town car was around town. Now, of course, the Lincoln Town car on the highway was infinitely better on fuel than the Tahoe was, but it just wasn't the right vehicle for me. And that's one thing you got to remember. As you progress in life and your passions change and your work changes, so will the type of vehicle that you need to own. And that's why I have changed vehicles so much. And I'm sure if Eric's still here, he'd probably back me up there. He would say the same thing. Is Mini Cooper Chinese? No, it's actually owned by BMW, so it's a German vehicle now. It used to be British. I think it was British Leland, I think, used to own it, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure there. Croman, I was going to get a Beetle since Ted Bundy had one of those cars. Reminded a friend of mine of serial killer, so I'm not getting it. Oh boy, that's funny. I mean, the Beatles, the old Beatles, were really reliable. Matter of fact, my mom would probably come in here and tell you that the first vehicle she ever owned and first vehicle she learned to drive in was a Volkswagen Beetle, and they were pretty much bulletproof. You could not do anything to those. They would run forever. That being said, they were dogs. I mean, the early Beetles were all of 38 horsepower. So if you're going up a hill, if you were up any type of hill, you'd be in like second gear, foot to the floor, maybe going 25 or 30 miles an hour. Actually, I remember that right where we used to live on the highways, Interstate 84, right outside of, I think it was like Poughkeepsie, New York, there was a big hill or mountain you'd have to go up on the highway. And we were coming back, and in the fast lane was a like mid-60s Volkswagen van, probably with the 42 horsepower motor. And he was going up that hill. You could hear the thing screaming. I mean, just screaming as loud as it could. You know that that person had his foot to the floor. And I remember that it was kind of a heavy traffic day. We were going about 42 miles an hour, and we were passing him like it was nothing. So he had to be going maybe 30 or 35. So bear in mind that even though they're fun old vehicles, they are really, really powerless. They are dogs. Now, that being said, there's a lot you can do with those. You could get aftermarket motorcycle engines and throw them in there. You could get superchargers, turbos for those engines. You can have a lot of fun. But if it's an old stock Beetle, you're going nowhere fast. Eric goes, I had a 72 Beetle. I had a guy named VW Ritchie, I think I remember this guy, do an engine. It put 102 horsepower at the wheels. That thing was a bloody rocket. With 102 horsepower, I can imagine, because they did not weigh all that much. That's why they could get away with like a 42 horsepower engine. Good evening. Oh, Pat Scanlon. Wow, I haven't seen, it's funny, I'm seeing a lot of people I don't usually see on my channel. I'm glad. I know our topics kind of shifted, but just for those of you that are coming in now, because I see we just got 20 watchers. Um, Basically, what this was a video is supposed to be about is trying to figure out why I have a sweet tooth now and ways to avoid putting the pounds back on. But I think we've pretty much covered that at this point. I'm not too concerned about it because I have my support system here. And if you guys ever need anything, you could always PM me and I will do my best to get back with you. But the best thing to do is just always come to the live streams because then I can interact with you guys, pretty much face to face, of course, through YouTube. Awesome Computer says, I'm more of a computer nerd, but I should learn about cars. I'm exactly the same way. I've been a computer nerd my whole life. That being said, I am starting to learn more and more and more about cars too. Of course, Eric Brunhammer is a jack of all trades. I have immense respect for people that can do that. Pat Scanlon, try the seafood diet. You all seafood, you all eat it. Yeah, that's an old joke, by the way. But all joking aside, if you actually wanted to go on a seafood diet, like we're talking about fish, anything that comes out of the sea, if you go that route and you don't put in a lot of butter or fry it, that's a great way to lose weight. You can have broiled fish, broiled crab, broiled scallops. Oh, I'm going to tell you guys something that I've been in the mood for, and I've really been putting off getting it, but I think I'm going to have to do it one time this week. Our local Chinese buffet called Buffet City on the buffet has a seafood salad. It's a Cantonese seafood salad, so it's got the white cream sauce, but they thicken it up a little bit. I think that they use something like cottage cheese or maybe what's the other thing? Maybe like sour cream. But anyway, it has the little fake crab in it. It has shrimp. It has all different types of vegetables, and they melt cheese on top of it. Now, I'm not going to go there and eat at the buffet. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to do that. But what I do sometimes is I go there and you can get a takeout container. I'll just go right up to the buffet and put a bunch of it in the takeout container. And I'll eat that over the course of 2 or 3 days. And believe it or not, that really is not that bad calorie-wise. Yes, it is still a high-calorie meal, but it's the type of calories that you can burn off really quickly. There's not a lot of carbs in there. It's mainly fat, and it's really the good fat too. So might have to do that this week. I don't know. Edgar Sands. You should hang out with Carrie Holzman. He knows about cars. Really, I didn't know that. I've always watched his computer videos. Doesn't he looks like in Arizona or something? Yeah, he's really good. I'd love to get a setup like that someday to where I could do live streams of computer builds. I think that would be really awesome for the channel. Pradkins loves REO Speedwagon. Yeah, Eric, I know you're not a big seafood fan, at least not that type of seafood. Awesome Computers. If I go to a buffet, I come in with an empty backpack and I come out with a full backpack. And that, my friend, is why the price of buffets keeps going up. People that do that have no shame. I hope you're kidding. But if you're not, just realize that the only way these buffets can make money is for people to eat less than what they're paying. And if everybody did that, then the buffets will lose money and they just have to keep increasing their prices. So really the only person you're hurting in that situation is you, because the next time you go there, your price of the buffet might be raised 20, 30, even 40%. And don't believe me, I've seen it happen. Boy, I hated that thumbnail. I never should have did that. Okay. All right. So he doesn't do that often. I hope you don't do that at all, because that, there are a few things in life that I'm passionate about, but that is one thing, because I like buffets every once in a while, and I know people out there, especially if you're poor, buffets can be a really great option because you can eat a lot of food for very little money, and doing that just ruins it for everybody. Croman, when I'm done with a buffet, I don't eat. I don't even have the energy left to carry a full backpack. Yeah, you about using all your energy to digest all that food. Chipotle, I go in with an empty stomach and I leave with a more than full stomach. I used to do that all the time at buffets. When I was a kid, and I'm talking maybe 8 to 12 years old, I could go and wreck a buffet. We used to have old country buffets where we lived in New York. I would go there and I would eat the same amount as probably 4 or 5 adults. Just giving you an idea of how much I used to eat versus how much I eat now. Back then, I probably ingested as a kid 4 to 5 thousand calories a day, and realize that back then I didn't work out like I did. I hardly exercised at all. So there's no wonder that I tipped the scales at over 400 pounds. I mean, it boggles my mind now that I know how to eat and the portions that I should be eating. It's almost like shame on me for ever eating that way in the first place. But just didn't know any better. I was a kid, we didn't have any diet or health experts back then. And I really have to give kudos to the internet because, and YouTube specifically, because honestly, the way I got started in this, learning what to eat and what not to eat, are looking at people like Bobby Flay. What's the other one? Jamie Oliver, when they re-uploaded his old videos to teach me what I should and should not be eating. So definitely kudos to the internet. The internet has hurt our life in many ways, but it's also helped it in other ways. And that is definitely one way it's helped my life. Eric Brunhammer, Kerry Holzman is in Arizona. He had small. I know about the swatting attack. Yeah, that would have been scary. I would have literally pissed my pants, I think. That I saw the upload that he did of that, and shame on whoever did that to him because he is a good guy. He entertains a lot of people, and even more than that, he's very informative. So shame on whoever did that. That was totally uncalled for. Chipotle goes, wow, that's mighty impressive, Matt. You were putting those buffets out of business. I'm sure I did put a few of them out of business. Croman, we rarely go to a buffet, so when we do, it's good enough excuse to eat 10 times the size of a Christmas dinner. That's okay. Believe it or not, gorging yourself every once in a while is perfectly acceptable. You almost have to do that to stay sane. But the idea is 70, 80% of the time, you have to be very, very good. And yeah, there are times, even during those percentages, that you're probably going to want to cheat, and you will. But if you're good the majority of the time, then you are going to succeed. Moderation, moderation, moderation. Answer: what is the secret to a successful lifestyle change / diet? Moderation, moderation, moderation. Oh, good. I'm glad they prosecuted the person as well. They should have. Yes, Pradkins. He goes, it feels so good outside. I have to agree there because I know he lives fairly close to where I live. And right now, the temperature, let me pull it up because I have my weather app right here. 79, high of 81 tomorrow. So a little bit of heat coming back tomorrow, but I can take a low 80s. And then the rest of the week, 70 Tuesday, 71 Wednesday and Thursday, and then high of 74 Friday and Saturday. So we are good. We have most definitely gotten past Indian summer. And thank the Lord, thank the Lord, thank the Lord, because I just cannot handle this heat anymore. Croman, asks, so since you're a techie guy, what is your all-time favorite device? Wow, that is a very, very good question. I'll be honest with you. If you're talking about a specific device, the one that's impressed me the most is my 7-inch Amazon Kindle. And this is HD. This is the original Kindle HD before they had the Fire. I picked this up at a thrift store probably 4 or 5 years ago for like $20, and it was probably a few years old then. It's a 16 megabyte version, or 16 gigabyte version, and I keep that by my bedside, and that thing still works as good as the day it was brand new. Pat Scanlon. Commodore 64. Definitely one of the most versatile computers ever produced. When I say versatile, not only was it a great gaming computer, it was a great productivity computer. It could do anything. It was even a great programming computer because it ran BASIC, and it was a very easy BASIC to learn. And the amazing thing that Commodore did is they wanted you to learn how to program. When you bought a Commodore, you got a stack of books that were about yay big, and in those books were instructions on how to program the computer, like make your own basic programs. They would give you programs that you could type in, and then other books in there would actually teach you how to program in BASIC. So yeah, I'd have to agree with that. The Commodore 64 was an absolutely amazing computer for the time. Yeah, definitely. Keyboard. You could use the Commodore had a very good sound chip in it, and you could actually use that to make music. I have the keyboard. Well, there are two ways you could do it. I actually have a keyboard that would overlay on the Commodore itself, and you would actually play it through the keys. But I believe there was actually a MIDI card that would go into the expansion slot where you could actually connect an external keyboard to it, and you could actually use it as as basically an electronic keyboard. The brand new iPad that's $300. I haven't had an iPad in quite a long time. All right, tubers, it is getting on to 3:30. I'm gonna have to end this live stream because it is my dinner time, my last meal of the day. I'm gonna fast, so going to try to finish eating about 4 tonight, and then I'm not going to eat again until tomorrow morning. So it's probably going to be a 12, 30, 40, 50, about a 16-hour fast. And we will see if I'm going to keep the weight off. Stay tuned because I want to give you guys some updates. I have a vlog coming out for you guys, probably not tomorrow, but I'm thinking Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. Please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.